Welcome to Trial by Wine. We take a closer look at crimes that highlight how fascinating humans can be. Schmitty, Swanee and Clarky visit crimes and run them through their jury of three, debating both sides of the case to agree an appropriate, if totally fictitious, sentence. Please be advised, Trial by Wine may include explicit or disturbing content and will include drunken rambling. Listener discretion is advised. All right, how are we?
Not too bad.
Not too bad.
That was a very considered one, Swanee. I watched your head tilt while you thought about it.
I actually think I feel bloody exhausted, but I didn't think you'd want to hear that. I don't know why. I'm just a bit fatigued, really. Weather's changed here. Maybe it's thunder. I don't know. It's a bit cooler. We had a little bit of rain. I'd like a little sleep. That's all.
Wouldn't we all? And what about you boys? You're pretty good.
Yeah, we're good.
Exhausted as
we are just going through the process of offloading our Perth property, which is nice.
Mobiles.
I think we discussed that last weekend. Well, not really, but anyway, nice to have it gone.
Sold a Navarro.
Yeah, sold a car to replace the Ranger. So out with the old and in with the new. That's the plan.
Excellent.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
How about you?
I haven't sold or bought any property or cars. But similarly, I am a bit tired, and I think it's the change in weather. Really?
Yeah, the
I think it's the shortening of the days, the night closing in much earlier, just all of that sort of stuff, I think. Yeah. So, and
I'm quite happy to be at home and feel cozy, but there's also a little bit of tiredness that seems to have come with it, where I think, I could just lay down right now. Lay down right now.
And I've been feeling it pretty much since the clocks went back, and I know they don't go back for you, Swanee, but yeah, I've been feeling it since then. So I reckon it's a bit of that, and lucky for us, we've got another 3 or 4 months of it. Yay!
Yeah, we'd say the beginning, right? Really just the beginning.
We may adjust. So anyway, let us introduce ourselves. I'm Schmitty.
I'm Swanee.
And I'm Clarky.
Shameful Clarky.
And together we are
Trial by Wine.
I'm sure it's not the first time someone's referred to me as shameful.
Oh, look, they weren't picking on you particularly. It was around the inappropriate tagging of a particular episode. And I was loving it because finally someone actually noticed something. I'm like, we've only been going for 2.5 years and we first got our first negative comment. Awesome. Anyway, that was fun.
I think there's...
Mind you, it was back in 2022, so that just shows how much we pay attention to these things. It wasn't new.
Gosh, was it that long ago?
That comment came in, I think it was 2022, and I just happened, I don't know why, but I went on X for something, and I came across it, and I thought, that's really funny. Oops, missed it, soz.
How long had it been there for?
A year and a half, yeah.
Oh, the comment?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it must have been around the time that the episode went live and Clarky was doing a little promo for it that the individual didn't appreciate.
I hope that buys you some peace of mind, Clarky. The fact that they're not coming to hunt you down like you wiggers with me.
I'd literally
somebody.
I'd literally forgotten about it until Schmitty said it.
You didn't even realise it was a crack at you at first.
No, I know.
Oh, never mind.
I'm still not sure it is. I'm not sure it's even a crack. I think some people are just sensitive. I was just going to say, the whole point of this is to make distasteful jokes, right? So
it would appear so, yes.
That was quite a distasteful episode. Anyway. In fairness, that was pretty bad.
Really? There must be so many.
So, what are we drinking?
Go 0.
Straight out. Bang. Yeah. So let's go on to what we're drinking then, because it's a bit of a strange thing. So we went quite hard last week. We did like 5 nights in a row of drinking too much, and
change in weather.
We've decided we need and there's just a lot of social stuff.
We went attending, doing stuff.
So anyway, we decided this week we would have alcohol free. So I bought
a 0.
Yeah, McQuiggan 0 Rosé.
And how do you like it?
Which is too bad.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not too bad. I recall the first time I did a review on 0 alcohol wine and I didn't really like it, but I'm starting to find a place for 0 alcohol wine in my life. And
I think they've improved
it's
too.
Nice. I think they have. Yeah. And I think the alternative, so often when you want to drink something non-alcoholic, they're all sickly sweet.
Yes.
And so it's just unpleasant to sit there and drink something.
It's lolly water. You don't choose that normally. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, it's a nice alternative. That's what we're having. What about you, darling?
I'm on my favourite, mango chutney.
Chutney.
And in part because if we continue to record tonight, I thought I'd better keep neat. But I may, and we'll see how we go, I do have a bottle of sparkling Shiraz in the fridge upstairs, which is...
That will fat you up, honey. That fat you up.
It will, but it's also a perfect winter drink. But to your point, it will fat me up, and that's why I'm staying on the chuts for now.
Excellent.
Who's got a story for us?
Me.
Tell us more.
Well, all right then. I think that's a great idea. So we're going to continue the travel theme. We're getting towards the end of all of the countries we've visited for anyone who's sick of it.
I don't believe that for a moment. You travelled the entire world. I'm sure there are plenty more places you could go if you wanted to.
Well, yeah, to be fair, I'm only doing countries, not cities, so there's plenty more that we
there.
could. But first, let's go with the sources. So first one is www.goalcast.com, Wikipedia, thelineup.com, allthat'sinteresting.com, and thestandard.com.hk, which for those of you who know your
Hong Kong
dots, there you go. What can I tell you? So in November last year, we did a Tripadil holiday to China. So you know the ones that pop up on Facebook all the time, and they're super cheap. You don't see them? Swanee, you were shaking your head.
I don't know, let me say.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know about other stuff, but
she's trained her algorithm for luxuryholidays.com only.
I don't really get any travel stuff on my algorithm, actually. I'm interested.
Yeah,
that's me.
Get a whole heap of shit. Don't worry about that. Oh, God. That would actually be useful.
So as it turns out, they're funded by the Chinese government. So they're super cheap, and you go on a bit of a standard kind of route that everyone seems to go on when they go to China. And I think you can't really go off that route. They don't like you, leaving the path.
Interesting. It's free, actually. It's like a little propaganda tool.
I mean, your words, not mine, but here we are.
Yeah. Well, you're back. That's good.
Yeah, that's right. We made it back safely. Although, now they've got our fingerprints and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know what they would do with my fingerprints.
It's not enough. They've got all your digital data, but now they've got your fingerprints as well.
Yeah, funnily enough, I'm not on TikTok, so they don't get all of that, but I've given it to them voluntarily so I can go and visit the country. Anyway, I'm sure there's a non-sinister reason for them doing what they do, and we were the beneficiaries of it. The reason I wanted to go is I studied Asian history in high school, which is quite unusual for people in Australia in the 80s. But we had a Japanese... yeah, exactly right.
What did you say,
Greensboro.
Oh, right.
Yeah, which, it was great. I was very lucky to do it. But anyway, so I wanted to go and see Great Wall of China, Terracotta Warriors, and more recently, the modern city of Shanghai. So I've done a lot of work in the steel industry, and there's a lot of steel stuff over there. Some of the people I've known have been over there and told me how good Shanghai was. So it was lovely to go and see that.
Yep.
So, we thought, let's do it. And it didn't disappoint. We both had a great time following the well-worn path that I think everyone who is a tourist in China goes to. We found the people to be super friendly and often ran into people from remote villages. So at the time, there were a lot of internal Chinese people doing the same tourist route, which was quite funny. And they'd been sponsored by the government to do it as well. So
it's like when we our kids go to Canberra, they get subsidised, doesn't matter where they live. So like they send them off to Canberra on, I think the flights are free and whatever else from Perth.
Yeah.
When our kids do the school excursion, similar thing, I guess.
It is very similar.
Yeah,
Can I ask a question probably on the less positive side around cultural norms in certain countries? Did you come across a lot of spitting when you were there?
So much. Like, honestly, so we call the really bad ones that people
like oysters.
Oysters.
Yeah.
And in the elevator inside hotels, like people had just
I've experienced it at, I think it was Hong Kong Airport, and I found it quite shocking, but it's just a different cultural approach to things. But yes, as a non-Chinese person, I was very revolted, if I'm honest, by that. But yeah.
Like in the hotel. It was a lovely hotel, and seeing it in the lift of it, you're like, God, really? Could you not save it till you got outside.
Right.
Anyway. If you were a conspiracy theorist, you may think that that's the reason that COVID spread the way that it did. I'm not.
Neither am I.
So I don't think that, but
Well, yeah,
Right,
but it might have been
so-
the case in China, but certainly not in other cultures that don't hock up oysters wherever they go. So no, doesn't really stand.
Oh yeah, and there's plenty of people who cough without covering their mouth and all those sorts of things, which can be equally gross.
Correct.
So yeah, anyway. So these people from remote villages were fascinated to see European or white people, and we'd be out for lunch, for instance, and someone would peek around a corner and take a photo of us thinking that we couldn't see them, or they'd do this discreet walk by the table and try to take photos or videos. And at first we just kind
feel
of
like to be a celebrity, I guess.
Oh, honestly, it was hilarious. So at times we'd kind of be, oh, look, there's another one. But then we just started waving or posing for photos. And so people who were trying to do it discreetly would be like, oh, they're onto me. Oh, shit. Oh, well, all right. Now that we're all cool with it, they'd come over and take more.
Well,
and there were times where we had
like insufferable Instagrammers. I mean, there wasn't your Instagram account that these photos were going on.
Yeah, you're on billions of Instagram accounts now. Or TikTok anyway. But what was funny was once one person was taking a photo, others would come up and want to take a photo. So to the celebrity thing, there were literally times where for 5 or 10 minutes you'd be sitting there randomly with a queue of people wanting to take photos.
With you sometimes or of you?
100% with us. Like
with you, okay.
There was so at one point we were up the top of I don't know, one of the towers there, a viewing platform.
Yeah.
And I was standing there for, I don't know, there must have been 10 people who wanted to come and take individual photos with me. And it would happen like to Stuart just waiting at the front of,
sure,
I don't know,
didn't think
silk
that you
factory
were
or
Stephen
something.
Curry?
No, they didn't. They were doing it to
as
everyone.
huge as his profile is internationally, Schmitty.
Yeah,
I always think you look a bit
particularly
like
in
Stephen
China.
Curry or vice versa, but all right.
You're not the first one to say that, but no, I don't think they would even know who Stephen
Neville
Curry
Curry's
is.
son, and Neville Curry was a good friend of my mother. As was Stephen's auntie was one of Mum's best friends. Just letting you know.
Is that right?
Sandra Wade.
As was Stephen's doppelganger, Clarky.
That's right.
Who is one of your best friends.
That's right. Very limited degrees of separation there.
I feel like the Chinese don't like the curry.
Okay.
That's another story.
Right.
Right. So we're not here to talk about for a whole episode our travels in China, but we are here to talk true crime. So how about we do that?
Sure.
And to do it, we're going to have to jump into the timey-wimey machine again and head to Hong Kong in 1999. So it's important to remember that Hong Kong was previously a British colony, but it was handed back to China at midnight on the 1st of July, 1997. So whilst we didn't go to Hong Kong, it fits the country rule. So I'm going with it. I was kind of debating about,
it's Chinese
Hong
now.
Kong really, but yeah.
Have any of you spent any time in Hong Kong?
Yes.
Stuart has.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stuart's
I've had a couple of weeks there.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I've got quite a few friends here who actually live there. And I've only come back in fairly recent times. And it sounds like it's a place that is not quite what it was, but goodness me, what a life they led there.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. It was a good time to be had.
Yes. So in October of 1997, so just a few months after the Hong Kong was handed back to China, excuse me, goodness, there was an Asian financial crisis which gripped Hong Kong, plunging the banking hub into an economic slowdown. It's important just to keep that in the back of your mind as we talk about this. It's not a tale for the faint-hearted. So if you haven't already, pour yourself a drink and let's settle into the story.
Okay.
And this is the story of Fan Man-yee. Fan Man-yee was born in 1976 in Shenzhen, and she was abandoned by her family as a child, resulting in her being raised in an all-girls orphanage in Ma Tau Wai or something similar.
Does that
or maybe something completely dissimilar, depending on how good my pronunciation was.
does that have anything to do with the single child rule? I was in Hong Kong, so probably not. Oh no, where was Bao Tai Wei?
Shenzhen. In China.
Right.
Shenzhen,
That's where all the fake goods are, isn't it? Everyone goes to Shenzhen on their. You always see people referring Shenzhen is where a lot of the goods are made. All the counterfeit stuff comes out of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
right.
You do date. I've never been there. My mum's even been there, but like everyone goes to Shenzhen shopping.
No. Well, I wonder if that's where we went. Because we went.
Yeah,
it's on the tour.
We went to this thing that was like a market, but it was
vast,
like huge. Yeah, if you think of
Subway as well.
For people in Melbourne, if you think of the Vic markets, it's probably 5 or 6 times the size of that.
Right.
All indoors and just stalls as far as
electrical, clothing.
Right. And I can confirm that some of the things that are sold as originals are actually fake.
Yeah, surprise.
Who's surprised about that? Anyway, back to the story. So when Fan Man-yee turned 15, she was told to leave the orphanage because they had an age restriction. Probably, again, because of the single child policy. We've got a queue of people waiting to get in. You got to get out.
Queue of girls waiting to get in.
True, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly right. So becoming homeless, she then became addicted to drugs. And I feel like we've gone through this part of stories a number of times. She was forced into street prostitution. Yep. And at the age of 21, she began working at a brothel named, I guess it's kind of in true Chinese style, Romance Villa. Zero romance, probably lost in translation somewhere.
Love house or something like that.
Yeah.
Love house would make more sense.
Yeah. But I think they've just probably picked the wrong word out of the thesaurus.
In the translation.
It's another word for love. Let's say you go. Oh, that'll do.
What's another word for house? Villa. Oh, that sounds nice. Oh, I like that.
Yeah. I like that.
Oh,
yeah. So all our clients.
Is it still in Shenzhen?
Well, it's located in Shamshui-po.
Okay.
I don't know where Shamshui-po is.
I don't know where that is.
So Fan eventually married one of her clients.
Oh.
Who was a fellow drug addict named Chi Yuan in 1996. And she gave birth to their son 2 years later in November of 1998. Roughly 5 months before what's about to happen.
I'd be interested. What sort of drugs are they addicted to? You know,
heroin?
Is it heroin? Is it? I think would it be because I make that late, but I don't know. Yeah,
Hong Kong.
That's what I think.
Had everything at the time.
Would they? Oh, would it? Okay, I wouldn't even know that. Sorry, Clarky.
Opium came. No. Well, opium was big in China originally.
Yeah,
opium was it was. So Fan's husband was described as abusive, and neighbours in their Mongkok apartment. Not a euphemism. That's the name of it.
It's the look on your face when you're saying it. It wasn't what you said. It was the silly matron look on your face.
Matron. Mongkok.
Don't mind if I do.
Like, mong. Don't know that adjective. I'm not sure.
Yeah, all right.
Neighbours in their apartment building would report being awakened by sounds of the couple's fights and the child screaming and crying. Upon her pregnancy and then the birth of her son, Fan decided to turn her life around in order to protect her son and provide him a safer life. She quit drugs and prostitution and got a job as a hostess at a nightclub named Empress Karaoke Club, and eventually left her violent husband. Due to these sacrifices, she had a much lower income and struggled to support herself and her family. It was at the Empress Karaoke Club that she re-encountered Chan Man-lok, a 33-year-old Woshing Wo triad member.
Oh.
How's my pronunciation? Is it good?
I have no idea.
I think we only need the word triad in all of that.
It's certainly better than anything I could attempt, but I have no idea if it's good or bad.
If anyone does know, please let me know.
Carla says the word triad's all I needed to hear. Yeah.
It means a lot.
Yeah.
So, yes, the tribe member who had exhibited problematic behaviours since middle school and had previous drug trafficking convictions. Chan was known to Fan as he had previously been one of her clients at a brothel she worked in.
Romance Villa or somewhere else?
Quite possibly. Now, the timeline does get a little bit strange here, so bear with me. I think it works out, but I did have to do a bit of jumping around and inserting of dates based on different articles. So in early 1999, Fan stole Chan's wallet, which contained around 4,000 Hong Kong dollars, which at the time was approximately 500 US. When Chan realized what had happened, he demanded that Fan return the wallet with an additional fee of 10,000 Hong Kong dollars. Although Fan immediately returned the stolen money, she had no way of repaying the 10,000 Hong Kong dollars and needed time to save this money. Chan, however, was having none of it, and he had another plan as to how Fan could pay her debt. On March the 17th, 1999, also known as St. Patrick's Day, so I'm sure there's a whole lot of Irish people having a wonderful time, Fan was abducted by 3 men and 1 girl at her flat in the Fu Yu section of the Lai Yu estate. Chan, his 2 associates, 21-year-old Lung Wai Lun and 26-year-old Lung Shi Chou, along with Chan's 14-year-old girlfriend Lau Ming Fong, nicknamed Ah Fong. They were the 4 people. The group took Fan to an apartment at number 31 Granville Road, Tsim Sha Tsui, where they imprisoned her for a month. The apartment was rented by Chan himself, but was owned by 2 men referred to as Ah Sam and Ah Kao, who were not involved in gang activities. Initially, Chan had intended to make money off Fan by pimping her out to other men. However, somewhere along the journey, his plan changed. And Swanee, I'm putting you on high alert. This is where things turn.
I've got a feeling if that's the thing that was going to be the good option.
Yeah.
If that we've ruled that out, I don't know where we're headed then.
Yeah, and I'm going to pour myself a stiff non-alcoholic wine to help me get through this next bit. During her imprisonment, she was tortured and raped. According to one source, she was beaten with metal bars, sometimes while being strung up and used as a punching bag. On one occasion, Fan was kicked in the head around 50 times. Spices were rubbed into her wounds. Her legs and feet were burned with candle wax and hot plastic so that she was unable to walk. She was forced to consume human feces and urine, and she was forced to smile and say she enjoyed the beatings. If she refused, they subjected her to even harsher torture. Not surprisingly, this treatment eventually led to traumatic shock and ultimately her death. Tragically, Fan succumbed to her wounds on April 14th or April 15th, 1999. Some sources claim that she died while her captors were out, and others say she died overnight while they were there. Upon discovery of Fan's body, assuming that they were out, her captors disposed of the body, doing everything they could to cover up their crime. And they did such a good job of it, they nearly got away with it. Until one day in May of the same year, 14-year-old Ah Fong, who was one of the 4...
Girlfriend, yeah.
Yeah, the girlfriend is probably a nice way of putting it, made her way to a Hong Kong police station. She told officers that for the past several weeks, she'd been constantly plagued by the ghost of a woman who had been bound by electrical wire and tortured to death. The police initially brushed her off, dismissing her claims as nothing but the dreams of a young girl or teenage nonsense.
Chinese are big on ghosts.
The wine just doesn't give me the relief that I need. Tastes okay. So their interest was piqued, however, when she explained that the ghost was of a woman she'd had a hand in murdering.
Oh.
No, she's real. I know she's real because I helped kill her.
Because that's right. Yeah. Following the child back to a vat in the city's rundown Kowloon district, they discovered that the girl's dreams were in fact very real nightmares. Inside the apartment was full of Hello Kitty memorabilia, from sheets and curtains to towels and silverware.
Nightmarish in itself.
In amongst, yeah, right?
Is this where she lived, or is this?
This is the house that they rented.
Oh, this was where they did the torture. Okay.
Tortured and killed.
Yeah. Okay.
In amongst all of the Hello Kitty paraphernalia was an oversized Hello Kitty doll. And upon further inspection, police found the decapitated skull of a woman inside it.
Oh, my God.
And because it is horrific, let's take a moment to have a look at the Hello Kitty doll.
Oh, do we have to?
100%. You've got to see it. It is the worst.
Is this one of those because you've seen it,
looking-
we have to see it?
Kind of,
Yeah.
but no.
That's all right. I've got one of those in the
it's-
story I'm telling later.
No, but it's not bad. It's just like, why on earth would you want this doll in your house?
Oh. What is
Is
it?
she a mermaid?
Hello
It's
Kitty,
like a mermaid doll,
Yeah.
but
I
it's
never
just
understood any of the Hello Kitty stuff though. Like I don't get it.
yeah, it's not my thing. But I don't know. Like I know in Japan that's very big, and I don't know. It's just it fits a lot of that sort of cute Japanese kind of culture that they have going on. But that's not cute. It's not.
It's gross.
Oh, it's just wrong.
And
It's
what makes
sort
it
of thing
even more
someone gave it-
disturbing is someone's
Someone's
head
put
in
a
it.
skull inside it. Oh,
Oh.
jeepers, that's a lot. As you'd expect, further investigation of the skull was carried out, and it was identified as Fan's skull on June the 3rd. Guess how they did that? I'll tell you. They used a method called photo overlapping, where they compared the skull to a photo of hers to
I
work out
see.
that it was her.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Are our skulls that unique? Probably.
Sort
I feel
of.
like-
But I think
I
if
mean-
they start with a photo, they can work out like the depth of flesh and stuff, what it should be. It's like the opposite, right? Where sometimes you have people who recreate what a face would have looked like by adding layers and layers of clay to it. This is just some kind of digitized version of that in reverse. But it's interesting because could you do that, Clarky, with no photo, right? So, if you used a computer to digitize what a face should have looked like, making a few assumptions about hair color and stuff. What they need the photo for, I guess, is what I'm
could,
going
and
for.
I don't think either method would be conclusive anyway. At the time the crime was committed, you guessed it, Chan was living with his wife and newborn baby at an apartment in the Shekning section of Sheklai estate. Ah Pui was first suspected to be involved in the murder, but was quickly released after no evidence
the
was
wife, I
found. So
take
Ah
it?
Pui is one of the
Right. Chan's wife.
yes.
All right. Okay.
Yes. So after finding out that the story of Fan's murder had made it to the media via a Macau-based local newspaper, Lung Wai Lun fled to mainland China. Lung was put on Interpol's most wanted list, and he was eventually caught on Valentine's Day, February the 14th, for those who don't know, 2000, after irregularities were found in his passport. He was sent back to Hong Kong on February the 17th for trial. So at the trial, in exchange for protection, which she also likely received in part due to the fact that she was so young.
She came
Ah
forward.
Yeah. Before checking.
Yeah, Ah Fong testified against Chan Man-lok and his two henchmen. In an attempt to rid herself of the haunting she claimed to be experiencing, she detailed the torture that the three men put Fan Man-yee through. Though the story was so disturbing, many felt it could not possibly be true. However, the evidence uncovered by police was damning and disturbing. Chan Man-lok and his henchmen argued that she had died from an overdose of methamphetamine that she had administered herself, though most experts speculate it was her injuries that eventually killed her. They only speculate because there's no way to know.
They didn't
for
find the
sure.
rest of it? They just found the head?
Close.
Okay.
The reason is because after discovering she was dead, rather than acting with remorse and reporting the death, the three men decided they had to hide the body, but they went to extraordinary lengths to do this. They moved Man-yee's body to the apartment's bathtub and dismembered her with a saw.
Mm-hmm.
Some of her body parts were fed to stray dogs.
Ah, for God's
And-
sake. Yeah, go on.
And others were cooked to stop her from decomposing and emitting the smell of rotting flesh. Using boiling water on the same stove on which they would regularly cook dinner, along with their normal kitchen utensils they used to prepare their food, the killers boiled the pieces of her body and disposed of them with the household's garbage. These body parts were later recovered from 3 trash dumps in Sham Shui Po,
Jesus,
Wan
pretty
Chai,
impressive.
and Ta Kok Tsui.
Yeah.
It's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, ugh. There was no doubt that she had experienced indescribable torture and that the three men had inflicted much of the damage to her body. But there was no way to tell whether a drug overdose or the torture was to blame for her death, obviously. As a result, the three were convicted not of murder, but manslaughter, as the jury believed that though they had caused her death, death was not the intent. The charge left Hong Kong's public reeling from the Hello Kitty murder case, but the trio was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole in 20 years. Justice Peter Nguyen, who sentenced the trio to life in prison with the possibility of parole, stated, "Never in Hong Kong in recent years has a court heard of such cruelty, depravity, callousness, brutality, violence, and viciousness." Psychiatric reports of Castle Peak Hospital and Sui Lam Hospital described the three as remorseless. There would be no review for parole for 20 years until 2020. Chan Man Lok and Leung Wai Lun are currently serving their life sentences in Stanley Prison. However, Leung Shing Cho, who managed to reduce his sentence from life to 18 years on appeal in March 2004, was released in April 2014. Now, whilst we know sometimes jail will rehabilitate a criminal, if you thought years in prison for his role in Fan's murder might reform Leung Shing Cho,
You were
think
wrong.
again. In August 2022, just 8 years after his release, Leung was sentenced to 12 months in jail, this time for the indecent contact with the 10-year-old daughter of a friend. And it makes me wonder what happened in the 8 years between, whether he was
Got picked up for something else.
rehabilitated for 8 years or whether there was other stuff that went on. According to the court, Leung was accused of touching the body parts of the girl, his friend's daughter, claiming to provide her a massage in a flat in Tin Shui Wai last December. Magistrate Jeffrey C. Cho Yu judged the behaviour of Leung was beyond massage and taking advantage of the trust of the victim. The level of the sentence should consider the extent of the case arousing public resentment, together with the concern of protecting children's rights under the law from being assaulted, said the magistrate. So there was a little bit of aftermath from the story. Fan's skull was the only exhibit in the case, so in the trial. And after trial, it was kept by the forensic pathologist in the Kowloon Public Mortuary until the appeal process of the prisoners was completed, and her birth family was notified in March 2004 that the skull would be returned and cremated on March 26. The apartment building in which the crime took place was demolished in September 2012 and has been rebuilt as a hotel named Soravit in 2016. 3 Buddha portraits were placed in the hotel as a memorial. A necklace that belonged to Fan was handed over to Fan's son after it was discovered in the refrigerator during the investigation. And it's rumoured that Fan's son and her husband now reside in Singapore.
Yeah.
And the last bit, the publicity around the case resulted in the production and release of 2 films in 2001 that told the story. Now, I haven't seen either movie, but the titles did surprise me, and I'm interested in your thoughts.
These translated titles? Like, were they in Chinese and then translated into English?
Well, I'm going to guess they were, but
Okay.
I don't think it'll matter too much.
2001, how good was Google Translate back in those days?
All right, you tell me what they might have been going. I'll tell you what the English is, and you tell me what they might have been going for. So the first one is called Human Pork Chop.
Long Pig. It's obviously supposed to be Long Pig.
Good too. Yeah, right. Swanee, I bet that's where your head went to as well, didn't it?
Oh, no, mine...
She never remembers what Long Pig is. Long Pig is...
My point is I'm not sure it was obvious, but...
No, but it wasn't.
Gross.
I was trying to work out whether that meant...
Did they? There's no evidence they ate her, is it? Yeah.
No, that's how why my brain had gone to.
So I think it's sort of like Long Pig in as much as it's a human being body being treated
cooked
like
as
a pig.
Food kind of thing.
Cooked like a pig. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And if a dog eats a person, are they eating Long Pig or are they eating a person?
Well, I mean, Long Pig's just another name for human. Yes.
Because they did say they fed them to stray dogs, so it could.
Yeah.
Interesting. And the second one, there's a secret in my soup.
Oh, they're big on what they've been cooked up.
It's all about the sensationalism of the cooking business,
Are
not
they
the
weirdest
horrific
names?
torture and unnecessary murder of some poor woman. Fan. Jesus.
They sound like they're slapstick comedies.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I just,
You know,
I think as translated into English, they're not carrying well. There's something
There's
secret
a secret in my
there's
soup.
a secret
I
in my
mean, what's
soup.
that going to be?
Animal
Turmeric?
crackers in my soup.
I mean, there's not even evidence that it was soup and that it
No.
was, like it.
It's
It
just a
just
cooking
sounds like
reference, I think.
the wacky tale of a poor prostitute who gets tortured and
Made into soup.
Yeah.
God. Anyway, that, my lovelies, is the tragic story of Fan Man-yee, which has become known as the Hello Kitty murder. It's a lot to take in, and whilst you do that, just bear in mind it's time to decide who and how you would like to sentence.
Well,
over to you.
I'm ready. I've been thinking about this because as you tell the story, we go back to time and again, just the easy disposal of women. We just won't even treat someone like a human being or with any. Oh, it's just beyond callous. Whilst your Chinese is excellent, I'm sure. Chan's about the only one whose name I can remember of the gang.
Mm-hmm. He was the ringleader, so that's okay.
Mr. Ringleader and his all of his followers, including the 14-year-old girl. Hang on, before I say that, is there any indication that she was there under duress? Like, or was she like a victim of them in some ways,
So as I said, it's hard to find a lot of detail, but my gut feel, and I think I might have read something that alluded to this, was that, so she's 14, they're in their 20s kind of thing, that she was being groomed, right? So...
All right, so I'll leave her out of it because also she does show remorse. Like whether or not she's being haunted or she's literally racked by guilt and therefore having hallucinations that she knows she needs to say something. Either way, she goes to the police. So I'll leave her out of my sentencing. So it's just for Chan and his two little buddies.
Yeah.
I would like for them to have their extremities removed, surgically, I suppose, or not, don't care. But they're not to die. They're meant to be left with no genitals, no legs, and no arms. They're just head on a torso, but still alive. And then I think we might just slowly cut up what we've removed, boil it up, and feed it to dogs in front of them.
Oh.
Sleepers.
I mean, you could say an eye for an eye, or you could say a boiled limb for a boiled limb.
Good
But
one.
then they're left not being able to do anything. Like they're just literally just stuck for the rest of their lives, and they're kept alive for as long as we possibly can. And then that means they can't go off and rape a 10-year-old or anyone else after that either.
Yep.
True.
Nice. Swanee?
Doesn't really want to take on the triad. I think if wingers is bad news, the triad.
But I don't know that this has anything to do with the triad, in all honesty.
Well,
this is the triad member, but I don't know that there's anything in this. He's just an animal.
Absolutely. But one thing that I would say,
all my respect to the triad, shout out there. I don't think it's about them.
That's right. If there was divorce from being in the triad. I just thought it was interesting in terms of 14-year-old girl.
Is that awful?
I mean, I can't imagine anyone would turn up at a police station if they had any idea of who they were dealing with on a greater scale and going, oh, is this what it's happening? Yes, I find that really hard. I don't know how they would protect her going forward. I don't know where she's ended up, but
that's if the triad doesn't say, that's nothing to do with us. He's just some mongrel, and so we're going to ignore that. There's no, there's no attacking her for that. This guy's just acted on his own.
Yeah. To be fair, if you hadn't have said that they were connected to the triad, it would just be, I wouldn't have known. So it didn't seem to come up throughout the crime.
As much as I appreciate she was probably there under duress, she was there for weeks and weeks while they tortured this woman and didn't try to help her or do anything. And yes, she might have been terrified herself or what have you, but it's only the guilt later that. Where was the guilt in the early days of this?
I think when you're a 14-year-old dealing with 20-year-old men.
Yeah, I get this. Yeah, I don't know.
But how come you can show up however long later? You still got them in your lives, haven't you?
Yes, that's my point, which was my point about sort of whether it was involved with the trial or whatever. It's either she's totally naive or very bolshy, whichever way it is, that you're going to go and take on these men. But, I mean, obviously, guilt or whatever else, the haunting must have affected us so greatly. Obviously, I know who I want to punish. How I will punish them, I don't really know. So the only thing that I can sort of lean into is perhaps the idea that if culture is so absolutely terrified of ghosts that she haunts them in every aspect of their life in a really, really macabre way. I can't. Yeah. Or again, I can't watch a movie like that. So
I have seen
I
it. It's
know
pretty
of it, but I
scary.
can't watch
So
it.
let's go
Well,
with The
yeah.
Ring. Yeah.
Ring. Okay, I need them to be watered, very, very, in the most terrifying way, whatever that is for them to devote. They're just animals, really. Just
It's
disgusting, really.
it's gross, isn't it?
That's a good one. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, appropriate.
Just deal with them, and just haunt them.
So I'll cut
Because
them all,
I'm-
cut all their limbs off and all their extremities, and we'll boil them up, and then they get haunted as well, and they can't run away because they've got no legs. Very
They
good.
can't go anywhere. Right. There you go, Tony.
Nice. Well
And
done.
you,
Well
Clarky?
done. Yeah, I kind of had a bit of a thought whilst we were talking about that last bit. So what really gets me about this is, she stole his wallet. And the reason I said at the start, bear in mind that there was the Asian financial crisis around the time. So she, like a whole lot of people, I guess, was struggling
Everyone's
financially.
broke. Yeah.
What I hate is that whole thing of you need to pay back the $4,000 plus 10,000.
Which you don't have. So how are you supposed to get it? And I
Not
kind of
supposed to.
understand. I've taken you and I'll pimp you out. I get that because then you're using her as a means to make money. But to not do that and just torture her to death just makes no sense either. It's like we've just got on Looney Tunes time now.
Yeah, kind of. But there's just something really sinister about trying to triple someone's debt, more than triple someone's debt, so that you can effectively own them to do whatever it is that you want with them. Which and then you can see that all plays out from there. But that's the bit where you just go, God, really? You couldn't just take your money back and leave it at that and none of this happens?
Just say do it again, I'll cut your hand off.
Yeah.
Like just a threat, that'll do.
Work.
Yeah. Do you know who I am? Yeah.
So I think we should go to Trial by Wine World again. I think this is my second week in a row doing that after a long absence. And we can have Game Show World there. And
Squid Games.
I think what we'll do is it'll be a little bit like Thunderdome. So there'll be a whole lot of crowd that are there. They all will be presented with what the three men did. And then there'll be some kind of combination, I guess, of the two movie titles. There's A Secret in My Soup and Human Pork Chop.
There's a secret human pork chop in my soup.
In my soup. Yeah. Although I'm not sure whether I want it to be obvious that they're in there or whether there has to be some kind of guessing game, discovery kind of thing as to
what's
work
in
out
the soup?
what's in the soup. Yeah. And I don't really know how that would work. But, is there someone who turns around the letters and you've got to guess? And so
Adriana, is that it is?
No, that's who I was thinking.
Can I buy a vowel? Can I buy a vowel? Can I buy a consonant?
Adriana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that Ian Turpie?
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Turps.
What was it called?
Oh, I just had it in to go.
I can't even.
Oh, the Price is Right. But that's
No.
Yeah, no, I was
Is
going to
it
say
Wheel of Fortune.
Oh, Wheel of Fortune.
Wheel of
Fortune is
Fortune.
Adriana, is that it is? Yeah. Wheel of Fortune.
Yes. Yeah, so it could be like Wheel of Fortune. There's a human pork chop in my soup edition.
Oh,
And yeah,
it's got a real ring to it.
Yeah, hasn't they catchy? That should really take off.
And then what
Yeah,
happens?
just so that. Well, I haven't really thought it through because it only just occurred to me. But I think maybe you pull a bit out and go, who is it? Or you got to because then
Taste it.
or categorize them maybe.
So what? They're just
overlay
playing this game
the-
forever, and that's the torture. That's the punishment.
Well, I think they need to get cut up and put in the soup at some point.
Oh.
It could be like a combination of MasterChef, Wheel of Fortune, and The Price is Right. So in the end, you've got to lump them together in order of maybe you've got to rebuild the skeletons out of the bits
I have
that
a
are
real
left
thing with the
over.
word. Anytime the word combination is used in Chinese, Western Chinese cooking, but it's like combination omelette, combination noodle,
Yes.
combination. Fucking what is the big preoccupation with combination? That makes me laugh. Combination omelette thing.
Yeah, there's a secret in my combination
And you're
soup.
like, what is the combination? I was like, I didn't realize that was the trick. I just
And
thought
this-
a mix. Oh no, what is the
The-
combination?
The three humans
Oh,
count as a combination. So it could be the whole dismembering process, cooking them all up into some fabulous soup and then having to piece them back together. And you're not allowed to get the wrong hand on the wrong arm.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's all a bit bizarre. But
It's
I'll
very
go with
weird.
it. Yeah. Sounds like you've had some kind of stress dream, but sure.
Some kind of non-alcoholic wine that's affecting my brain.
Yeah, I think you need to get back on the alcoholic stuff, Clarky. This stuff doesn't work for you. It's dangerous.
Oh, look, I think we
very
can
bad.
continue to workshop that another time. But ultimately they're a bunch of horrendous individuals, and so actually, the one that successfully appealed his thing and got out and then assaulted another person, like just rot in jail. I mean, I'm happy for them all to rot in jail, frankly.
It's such a well-worn path. You could tell that she was going to go into prostitution. And I feel like, when you're at school and they tell you that you need to study so that you can become this, otherwise if you don't, you'll end up, working in a shop.
They never say you're going to fall into sex work. They never tell you that.
Right? They never do. And they never say to the boys, you're going to end up as a drug lord, killing women, treating them completely disrespectful.
Yeah.
Where's the career advisor saying that's also an option and you don't want to go down that
option? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I agree. But I think, if you really want to go back to the start of all of this, the societal issue of having a girl, lots of girls put into an orphan, thrown out at 15 with absolutely no support, nowhere to go. As you say, it's inevitable that the career advisor at the orphanage probably said, off you go, toots, and make sure that you
career advisor at the orphanage, I love it.
Well, yeah, make sure you don't get pregnant in your first 2 years of sex work or get diseases. Off you go, doll, because that's the inevitable path for these people who have no support through the society that they live in. Yeah.
So riddle me this: if you
do better, people.
If you have a one-child policy and you have one child,
I don't think they have any more. By the way, I think that's
no, they don't. They don't. That's gone. No, 100%. But if you have one,
the unforeseen consequences of that decision.
No, what I'm trying to understand is if you have a one-child policy and someone has one child, but they decide it's the wrong gender, so they abandon it
or kill them,
and then they have another child
who's also the wrong.
Have you only had one child?
Yes.
But have you only had one child?
They don't name them. They don't go on any official record as existing.
The Chinese government knows everything about everyone. Like, they are absolutely turning a blind eye to that, in my opinion.
They were.
I think...
They were.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, thankfully that is not the policy anymore, but yeah, I'm sure there are still repercussions to that.
There's the crime. I thought, ew.
Yeah.
It may...
All right. Well, on that happy note, thanks for bringing that one to us, Clarky. That was, as you say, a lot. And might go and dwell on that a bit longer and then forget all about it as our coping mechanism. So as we say every week, miss you already.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao. I'm off to get trashed on non-alcoholic wine to cope.
Thanks for listening to Trial by Wine. You can contact us at trialbywine@gmail.com. Please rate, review and subscribe to Trial by Wine on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to support us, you can become a patron at www.patreon.com, Trial by Wine, or visit our website www.trialbywine.com to donate to us. Your support will help us cover many more cases and apply wacky sentences. We really appreciate you listening and hope you tell everyone about us. Our cover art is by John Christo and music is by Beauchamp from Pixabay.com.